This is Sang CB Cloud. This is census too soon. The United States government may come to a halt. The federal government shutdown is now just 1 day away. As a result, it seems that American politics could become even more chaotic. Today, let's take a closer look at the current political situation in the United States. Let's get right into it. Currently, the United States government is on the brink of a shutdown due to budget issues. If the budget bill does not pass in Congress, there will be a shutdown. This is due to major differences in opinion between the two parties. The Republican Party has 53 Senate seats, but needs 60 to pass the budget, so they must get support from at least 7 of the 47 Democrats. Due to the large divide between United States Democrats and Republicans, the budget bill remains unpassed. To prevent this, Congress must pass either a short-term budget or all 12 annual bills. Since there's not enough time for the annual bills, a short-term budget is the only practical option. The problem is, even passing the short-term budget bill is difficult now. On September 19th, the United States Congress attempted to pass a temporary budget bill to extend the federal budget deadline to November 21st, but it passed only the House and failed in the Senate. That's because the demands of the Democratic Party, such as the extension of subsidies for Obamacare, were not included. As a result, it is now expected that the United States government will eventually go into a shutdown. The United States Congress says it will hold another vote on September 30 for the 7-week short-term spending bill that was rejected on the 19th. The United States Republican Party said it won't extend subsidies for Obamacare. For this 7-week budget bill to pass, Senate Democrats would need to change their policy, but there's no sign of that yet. The White House, Republicans, and Democrats quickly met at the White House to discuss the budget bill. The issue is Chuck Schumer. After the meeting, the Senate Democratic leader told reporters there are still major differences, and the shutdown depends on the Republican Party. Hakeem Jeffries, House Democratic leader, said they had an honest talk but stated Democrats won't back the partisan Republican budget bill that harms medical services. The White House, in another statement, criticized Democrats for risking a government shutdown and jeopardizing funding for veterans, seniors, and law enforcement. However, the United States Democratic Party is also maintaining a tough stance, saying they will not back down from this. The conflict between the United States Democratic Party and President Trump is growing more intense over time. President Trump ordered the deployment of military forces to Portland, Oregon on September 27 local time. On the surface, he cited safety concerns as the reason. On September 24, an Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Dallas, Texas was attacked in a shooting, raising concerns a similar attack could happen in Portland. However, the president was unable to provide specific evidence of what kind of danger Portland was actually facing. Portland has long been seen as a progressive city with strong Democratic support. Deploying military forces to the area is seen as both a public security issue and a source of significant political pressure. The Trump administration often used federal power against Democratic-leaning cities when conflicts with the Democratic Party grew. Also, Portland's public security differs from President Trump's description. Reuters reported 17 homicide cases in Portland in the first half of this year. This is up to 51% lower than the same period last year. During the same period, Louisville, Kentucky, which has a similar population, had 56 homicide cases, while Memphis, Tennessee had as many as 124 cases. Portland has a lower crime rate than most major cities, according to statistics. This is why the interpretation that the measure is aimed more at political symbolism than at actually needing to deploy military forces due to serious crime is gaining traction. If the military is deployed in Portland, it will be the 4th case after Los Angeles, Washington, District of Columbia, and Memphis. The common point is that all of these areas are strongholds of Democratic support. Critics increasingly accuse the Trump administration of using the military as both a tool for public order and a political weapon. These measures are making local residents anxious. Portland is considered stable, but deploying military forces could cause unnecessary tension. When military forces were last deployed in Washington, District of Columbia, excessive military and police responses at peaceful protests increased social conflict. There are rising concerns this could happen again in Portland. This military deployment is notable because it's being used as a political pressure tactic against the Democratic Party, not just to address a city's public safety issue. This adds to tensions during the major political conflict over budget negotiations and a possible government shutdown. President Trump also commented on next year's North and Central America World Cup, saying he would not avoid cities with strong progressive leanings. During a Q&A session with reporters at the White House, President Trump was asked about Seattle and San Francisco's qualifications to host the World Cup. President Trump called these cities radical, leftist, and run by lunatics. He said he would move the host city if he detects even a slight risk. These cities are strong Democratic areas that have opposed the Trump administration's tough immigration policies. Because of this, the conflict between the Trump administration and the Democratic Party continues without end. So what would happen if the United States government shuts down because the budget bill fails to pass? A shutdown happens when the federal government can't spend money, so most activities legally stop. Considering President Trump's words gives us an idea of what may happen next. About 800,000 to 900,000 non-essential personnel will be placed on unpaid leave immediately. Talk suggests President Trump may lay off many government employees, causing many federal workers to lose their jobs. Only essential personnel like soldiers or police will retain just their core functions. And public services directly related to people's daily lives could also be suspended. National parks and museums may be closed, and there could be delays in passport issuance or even a halt in visa processing. Above all, essential welfare services like Social Security and health insurance will still be maintained. Processing will slow down a lot and directly harm vulnerable groups. I think this is the main issue. Economic damage is likely, as financial markets react strongly to signs the United States isn't functioning well. While federal government shutdowns usually have a limited economic impact and recover quickly, there are rising concerns that this time may be different. The 2018-2019 shutdown, the longest in history, didn't have lasting effects on the United States economy or markets, but Cable News Network reports the United States economy will be more vulnerable in 2025. Right now, the job market is already unstable, and with the Trump administration announcing plans to reduce federal government staff, this could add even more uncertainty and put additional strain on the already fragile economy. The United States Congressional Budget Office estimated the 2018 shutdown cost $3 billion in lost economic growth, about 4.2 trillion won. So far, financial markets remain mostly stable. What could happen next? Currently, 3 main scenarios are expected. The first is a last-minute dramatic agreement. If some Democratic lawmakers break away and vote in favor of the short-term budget bill pushed by the Republicans, at the very least, a temporary 7-week budget bill could pass. In this case, the government can catch its breath for now, but it's highly likely that the same situation will be delayed again at the end of November. Since it's only a short-term fix, it's difficult to be a fundamental solution. The second scenario is that a shutdown actually begins, but the government resumes operations within a short period of time. Government functions would stop for a few days, causing some service disruptions and volatility in the financial markets. But if public pressure grows, politicians may rush to resolve the situation. Since 1980, the federal government has had 14 shutdowns with similar cases before. Afterwards, the economy recovered quickly. The reason the financial markets aren't moving much right now is because there's an expectation that even if a shutdown happens, the recovery will be quick. We can't rule out the possibility that things will be resolved quickly this time as well. However, in this process, the public will have to endure administrative inconveniences, and the credibility of American politics will decline even further. The third and most concerning scenario is a prolonged shutdown. If the differences between the two parties are so stark that negotiations drag on, the government could be effectively paralyzed for several weeks or even dozens of days. During Trump's 2018 administration, the 35-day shutdown was the longest in United States history. If a shutdown lasts this long, as President Trump's plan to reduce the federal workforce becomes a reality, the shutdown could become more than just a budget conflict and serve as an opportunity to restructure the very framework of the government. This would be accompanied by large-scale layoffs of federal employees, reductions in welfare programs, and cutbacks in administrative services, which would soon bring a major shock to American society as a whole. It's uncertain which of these 3 paths will be chosen. The only thing that's certain is that whether this shutdown crisis ends as just a few days of administrative suspension or becomes a major turning point that changes the landscape of American politics and economy will be decided within the next few hours. What do you think will happen if the United States government shuts down? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.